Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're having a great wrap up to the weekdays, the work week, depending on your work schedule. I am going to be offline for a bit because I'm going to go have a self-care situation and go do goat yoga and lay a blanket by the water and do some reading and have a picnic and just kind of self-nourishing self-care activities. And I hope everyone else is able to find time or prioritize time this weekend to do the same, to do something to just nourish and love self. But I had a few thoughts pop into my mind, and I try to be responsive to those and share them in case they could benefit someone. And the first thought that came to my mind is, imagine if you have a child, or if you do have children, and your child was experiencing bullying, being unfairly treated and mistreated by peers or at school, being emotionally and verbally abused, how much it would hurt to have somebody you love and that's so precious to you being mistreated and having to watch them go through that pain. And those who are targeted, those who are experiencing adult level extreme bullying, imagine how God feels watching his beloved, precious child being bullied and mistreated and treated unfairly by others. And as you go through a targeting situation and continue to do your best to live a good life despite the obstacles being placed in your path, despite the mistreatment, you're still trying to be kind, trying to do no harm to others. As God's looking down on that situation, who do you think he's going to give favor to? The second thought is, smear campaigns, bullying behavior, gossip is highly damaging and detrimental to another human being. It's a very abusive way to treat another person. And so it's important to kind of look at the fact that those engaging in bullying behavior, those participating in gossip, those taking the time out of our very busy days to fixate and think about and talk negatively about another person, something's really going on with them. And it's a huge red flag that there's, some unhealed wounds, some unhealed trauma. Maybe they were bullied and want to treat another badly to help with that pain. Maybe it's envy. Something's missing in their life if they're taking time to do emotional and verbal abuse and harm to another individual by slanderous words that they're speaking. And it's even worse when there are those that give ear to it, that participate in smear campaigns, because if it weren't for those entertaining it and circulating it, smear campaigns would have no life. It's those that are like, oh yeah, I want to hear the gossip. I want to circulate this nonsense. I don't care what kind of damage it does to this person, or they want to damage another person because they're hurting so bad about themselves, within themselves. They don't feel good or are suffering from low self-esteem, and they're trying to distract from the pain they're feeling within by hurting others. And it's painful when you discover, someone I really cared about or I was really good to was a participant in a smear campaign. They even believed horrible things about me, and it can really make you go like, wow, they would believe that about me? They would entertain those thoughts? They would even give ear to that? My name was never safe with that person. They were never loyal to me, and there's deep pain that comes from that. But I also think there's blessing that comes from that, because anyone that would engage in such abusive behavior toward another, clearly something's going on. And by them not being a part of your life anymore after you discover that they would engage in this kind of abuse, you're sparing yourself from future harm that they could cause you, because clearly something's going on within that person, that they would even want to participate as a grown adult in such destructive and immature behavior. And lastly, those pointing the finger at others in gossip, smear campaign situations, more often than not, they're projecting their own behaviors, their own insecurities onto the other person. So as they're pointing the finger, they're trying to take the attention off of themselves and how bad they feel and insecure they feel, to put all the focus on someone else. And the things they're saying generally are confessions of who they are behind closed doors. As they're pointing the finger and saying, yeah, that person, yeah, they're a drug user and they're promiscuous and they're unstable and blah, blah, blah. What they're doing is confessing to you things that are going on with them. More than often that is the case, that projection is generally a confession. So as you're listening to someone who is taking the time out of their busy 24 hours to choose to obsess and fixate on another human being in a negative way to abuse them, we can pray for them and hope they get the help and the healing that they need. And it's not a reflection at all of the subject of the smear campaign. It's a reflection of those who would actually participate in that kind of abuse.